Hello everybody, this is Graeme, and today I'm going to be reviewing Tea Witches. Now in this one, you're a magical tea vendor at the Teaquinox Fair, aiming to earn the most prestige by serving witches their favorite tea, completing to-go orders, and upgrading your tea hut to make it all fancy. Now the main mechanisms in this game are a bit of kind of push your luck, worker placement, and kind of order fulfillment. Game takes place over 4 rounds, where players will do a little push your luck game by flipping cards, and you can stop whenever you want, but if you flip 2 over the same coven, you bust and remove all the unprotected cards. That is, your protected cards are your first 3. You then take turns during a worker placement phase, all the while trying to collect the tea and toppings to fulfill the orders. Now, there are 2 major things that attract me to this game. First is the theme. I drink a lot of tea and found the theme whimsical. The second was the collection mechanism. They're all ones I enjoy from other games. So, will this game all come together to make a perfect cup of tea? Or will the gameplay be more like warm dishwater? Let's get it to the table, see how it's played, and we'll come back with my final thoughts on Tea Witches. Here's Tea Witches set up for 4 players. The board is set up with a fountain in the middle, and the tea tokens are grouped and placed randomly in each bowl. The appropriate pieces for the different stalls are placed underneath them, and I'll talk about these stalls later and what you do with them. All the toppings and coins are placed off to one side. The fair tiles are randomized and placed in the fair board with a round tracker on the first round. Each player gets a player board, 3 coins, 3 teapots, 2 of which they keep and 1 goes below the round tracker. Each player gets an identical basic witch deck of their color. Your loyalty marker starts at 1. The game is played over 4 rounds. In a round, players will play a little push your luck game by drawing cards, which will be their customers for the round who they have to serve tea to. The players will then take turns placing out their teapots to take actions on the main board to get ingredients to fulfill their orders. At the beginning of each round, read the current fair card and do what it says. Often it gets more to-go cards, either 2 2.1s or a single 4.1. All ingredients or toppings are placed in your hut, so let's go through a round. Players will take their shuffled deck of cards and turn them one at a time to the spots underneath their board. You can go beyond your board, but you start off with the leftmost one underneath your board. The witches are part of different covens, as shown on the bottom of the card and by their color. You draw a card and add it to your row. If you have not become hexed, that is, if you just placed a witch that has the same coven as a witch order in the line, then you're hexed. But if you're not hexed, you perform the immediate effect of that card. You continue and draw as many witches as you like, and you can stop at any time. Anytime you collect resources during this part of the round, they are placed on the witches themselves. If you are hexed, that is drawing a witch that matches an existing witch coven in your line, then you are hexed. You do not perform the action on the bottom of the card you just drew, and you remove all witches starting from the right and working to the way left. But if a witch is under a hex ward, they are not discarded. After you choose to stop, or you are hexed and possibly removed witches, collect all the resources left on your witches and place them into your hut, and remove all your familiars, who are not part of a coven, and trash witches, if you have any, from your line. First player is then determined by who has the most witches in front of them. Each witch in line will have an order, tea, and usually some toppings. If you're able to serve them tea, you're going to receive the reward on their card and they become a loyal customer. In the next phase, in player order, you're going to be sending out your teapots to the different boutiques to activate them. Each boutique has a teapot spots. When you send a teapot, first collect the toppings and perform the actions from the spot that you have chosen. When you get actions, you're usually going to have actions with a number. That is how many actions you can perform. For a single action, you can rotate the fountain to any position. Or, you can fill an empty teapot, that is, take a tea from the fountain section where that teapot is, or you can refill the teapot if it already has tea in it, which means you take the tea out of your pot, place it in your hut, and then take another tea from that fountain section and place it into your pot. Now a note about your hut. Toppings can be placed in any open spot on your hut, but your tea must be placed in this tea storage spot. At the beginning of the game, you only have a single spot for tea, but of course you can get more during the game. So once you've done these steps, you then activate the boutique. So let's quickly go through the boutiques. The Full Moon Market allows you to purchase any number of upgrades. Add these upgrades to your hut. You can rotate them, but once they're placed, they cannot be moved. This is the way to get more tea storage, but often they can have an ability on them as well. At the end of the turn, you refill the market. At Brew to Go, fill your teapot with any tea and either draw 2 2-point to-go cards or a single 4-point card. Hex support allows you to optionally serve a Hex support hag for the reward. You can also purchase a Hex ward to cover up one of the errors in your board to make serving customers in that position will give you a bonus. These Hex wards will also be worth points at the end of the game. At Howl's Warehouse, you can sell tea tokens for 2 coins each, then purchase an upgrade tile at a discounted price. In the first round of the game, the warehouse is empty, but at the end of each round, the unsold face-up upgrades from the full moon market are going to be moved here. My Special Tea gives you one of each topping, and you can buy a Special Tea card, which will give you a one-time effect. If you do not use this card, at the end of the game, they're still worth 2 points. At Celebrity Crush, you can serve one of the celebrities by fulfilling their order, getting the reward, and making them a loyal customer by placing them beside your board face down. Once you've done your action, you have the option to serve tea. That is, use your tea tokens and toppings you've just collected. Each tea witch that is face up in front of you, either in line or in your loyal tea area, will want their order fulfilled. When you fulfill them, you get the reward and place them face down in your loyal customer area. If they already are a loyal customer and a face up, you still must serve them this round. You must maintain loyal customers or they will leave. Finally, on your turn, you and all other players can see if they fulfill a to-go order. Each one will have either 2 or 3 cups of tea. If there's a section on the board that contains that combination between any of the teapops, doesn't matter whose teapop, and the fountain, then you can complete that to-go order. Whosever teapop is used will receive loyalty points, and the person fulfilling the order will receive points. Whenever you get loyalty points from anywhere, you move your loyalty marker up. If you loop back to the beginning, you take a reward coupon. These coupons can be used to automatically flip one of your loyal customers over. You don't spend any tea, but unfortunately you do not get the reward, but they will stick around for another round. When all players have used up all of their teapops, the round is over. All unserved witches in front of the players, that is ones that have not been flipped over, are discarded, whether they're from your line or from your loyalty area. Teapops come back to you and you remove any tea tokens from them. These must be placed in your hut, discarded, or could be sold depending on the round card. Hal's warehouse is cleared out. Then all face-up upgrades from the market are moved to the warehouse. Draw 3 new celebrities and place them on their spots. Cover up any celebrities that are already there. Finally, resolve any end-of-day effects and move the round marker. The game ends after the final cleanup in round 4. Players receive a point for every 2 coins and every 2 teas they have left in their tea hut. Points from your upgrades, 1 point for each coupon you have left, 4 points for every regular loyal customer you have, and 6 points for every celebrity loyal customer. Purchased hex wards give you points. Get 2 or 4 points for completed to-go cards, and finally 2 points for each unused specialty card. And the player with the most points is the winner. Let's get back to see what I thought about Tea Witches. Let's start with theme and components. I found the theme in this one very charming. From the punny names, the various boutiques, to the go-to order card names, they were all enjoyable. I really like the art in this game. When it's on the table, it is very inviting. And what you're doing made sense in the world. Getting the various types of tea leaves, adding toppings to make sure that your customers get exactly what they want, kind of makes thematic sense. So, good job on the theme. For the components, they were also quite good. The game is a table hog, and I might have preferred the board to be smaller, as really within each boutique there's a few worker placement spots and a brief description around the edge of the board as to what the various places did. And if you do want to keep the board this size, then why not make space for the extra components on the board itself as opposed to having them beside it. The rotating fountain is a neat idea and implemented well, and the rulebook does a good job of explaining the game, and I felt overall the components kind of really supported the theme that they were going for. Now on to the gameplay, and this is probably where my tone changes. This is a game of 2 halves for me. One I liked, and one that I didn't like as much. I'll start with what I did like. I really like the tea hut upgrade mechanism. The various upgrades will do different things beyond just kind of holding your tea. Some of them could generate more tea, so you place a tea in and get maybe an additional 1 or 2 of the same tea out. Some of them make certain teas wild. Some of them are just points at the end of the game for having certain tea in them. I found this piece kind of the most enjoyable. You only have so much space, and getting money for the best upgrades can be tricky, especially early on in the game. But the large ones can be very useful. Or maybe you want to wait for them to transfer to the warehouse and maybe get them a bit cheaper. Plus the warehouse allows you to sell some of your extra tea to get that few extra coins you may need. The second piece I liked was the worker placement piece, but this is kind of a double-edged sword for me. Often it was more important to get the tea and toppings than it was about getting the action at the boutique. Often you don't care what boutique you go to, because making sure you get and keep your loyal customers is more important than whatever action you take at the boutique. So in other words, the boutique kind of take a second, or the backstage. And some of the boutique places became almost moot at parts of the game. When you have 3 hex wards, you don't need to go to the hex witches anymore. Why not combine the 2 card lots into one, or maybe the 2 upgrading spots into one? I feel like they really wanted the shape of this board and came up with a few extra boutiques to fill in the spaces that maybe weren't needed. And I also wish that there were more options for the rounds, like a basic and advanced set, or even just a few more so you could randomize which ones you're going to be playing from game to game. 3 out of the 4 round markers have end of game bonuses of just selling 2 types of tea for a coin, which feels kind of just uninteresting even if that random is the order is random. For the things I disliked the implementation of those 2 gold cards and what it does to the flow of the game. At the end of every player's turn, all players have an opportunity to fulfill their 2 gold orders, not just the active player. This means that every single player's turn just stops, so players can look at their cards and look at the board. When I've played this with people who have gone hard into cards, as they can be worth a lot of points, but it means they often have 3, 4, 5, or even more cards on the go at the same time that all need to be checked after every single player's turn. The other piece I ended up disliking was that card flip mechanism. There are very few cards which are interesting in this part of the game. I also found the rewards for serving them kind of uninspiring as well, a coin or a loyalty point. You're not adding any cards to your deck, so that push your luck piece just kind of felt meh. Yes, it determines the player order, but as I mentioned previously, often you just care about what tier toppings you're going to get. Since most worker placement spots are very similar, it really didn't matter too much for most of the game who goes first. I really wish there was a way to get more and varied customers into your deck, or you had some sort of drafting at the beginning of the round, or just something to change it up. The basic witches in this just felt, well, almost too basic. So would I recommend this one? I so wanted going into this to recommend it, but I find I just cannot recommend this one. I love the look of the game and the art. Everything just looks so inviting at the table. I also love the theme, and I'm just a sucker and will buy just about any game that's tea themed. And this one does the theme very well. I really enjoyed building out my tea hut and found that mechanism kind of a fun puzzle. I also like the idea of the worker placement pieces. I know I said most of the time the tea and toppings were more important, but when they weren't, some of those worker placement boutiques were kind of fun to go to. Unfortunately, I dislike the press your luck at the start of the round. It's a mechanism I've enjoyed in other games where you kind of mix up what you're going to be pulling out. That, it's going to be changing. Here I just found it like a tacked on mechanism and I wish there was another way to do this. I was also not a big fan of those 2 gold orders. For a game that should be quick, this just slowed it down too much. They're worth 2 to 4 points each, are easy to get, and every player will have to check them on every round. I also felt that the actual boutiques were not as interesting as they could have been. Maybe combining some of them and putting in different ones would have made it more enjoyable, like maybe switch them out from game to game. But overall, I'm going to give this one a 6 out of 10. I didn't hate the game, and I feel it just kind of missed the mark on a few core mechanisms that bring my score down. I played this with a few people who really enjoy this one, but for me, I just didn't. But that's it for now. Until next time, thanks for watching.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another video from the Dice Tower. Hey, you want to learn more about us, communicate with us? We have a Facebook group, we have a Discord channel, lots of different ways to get involved with the Dice Tower. You can find that in our Linktree link below. So just click that, it will take you and you can communicate with us on Facebook, join our Facebook groups. There's lots of cool things that you can find and become part of the Dice Tower. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Basil.